Welcome to this explainer. Okay, picture this. You've just left an absolutely incredible live show. The house lights come up, you step outside into the night air, and suddenly, it's like you just stepped off an airplane. Your hearing is totally muffled, and there is this distinct, high-pitched whine just echoing in your head. It's a pretty anxious feeling, right? Well, if you're a focused learner wanting to know exactly how to protect your hearing and recover from that kind of intense noise exposure, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're going to unpack exactly what to do about it. So, ever left a concert with your ears just absolutely ringing? We've all been there, especially when we first start going to shows with those speakers that are literally the size of small houses. But listen, that ringing isn't just some harmless souvenir from a great night out. It is your body's built-in alarm system. It is literally the sound of your inner ear cells struggling and screaming for a break after being pushed to their absolute limits. Let's take a look at the science of what's actually happening in there. Okay, let's dive into this. When you experience that muffled underwater feeling and the ringing, you're dealing with what audiologists call a temporary threshold shift, or TTS. Basically, it's a short-term drop in your hearing sensitivity because you are overexposed to really loud music. What's happening biologically is that the loud sound has triggered a massive inflammatory cascade. It puts immense stress on the super delicate hair cells in your inner ear, and it even alters the neural circuits all the way up your auditory pathway. Now, the good news is this often resolves on its own within a few hours or days, but treating it the right way right away is absolutely crucial to make sure it doesn't turn into a permanent shift. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the 72-hour window, our first aid protocol, things to avoid, the power of earplugs, and finally, managing persistent tinnitus. All right, let's jump into section 1, the 72-hour window, which is your critical timeline for recovery. The clock starts at hour 0. Immediately after the noise exposure, that inflammatory cascade starts spreading from your inner ear right into your brain's auditory pathways. Now, the first 48 hours, that is your critical rest period. Your ears desperately need time to reset, so you absolutely have to skip any other loud environments. But pay attention to the shift at 72 hours. If you hit that 3-day mark and the ringing or the muffled sensation hasn't faded, that's your signal to take action. It's time to seek professional help from an audiologist or an ENT specialist to make sure there isn't any underlying damage. Moving right along to Section 2, First Aid Protocol. These are the immediate steps you can take for recovery. Step 1 is a no-brainer, but honestly, it's so often ignored. Give your ears a rest. Ditch the headphones, take out the earbuds, and avoid loud bars or clubs. Now, Step 2 is where people kind of trip up. You might think hiding in absolute silence is the best move, right? Actually, total silence can make the temporary ringing seem way louder because of the stark contrast. To soften that contrast, you want to use low-level sound enrichment. Play some soft background sounds like pink noise, brown noise, or even just a gentle room fan to really calm that auditory system down. And Step 3, stay hydrated. Drinking plenty of water helps your body effectively flush out all those metabolic byproducts created by the noise trauma. Now, alongside resting and sound enrichment, research shows we can actually support our recovery chemically. A powerful cocktail of antioxidants, we're talking vitamins A, C, E, and D, along with magnesium and specialized supplements like N-acetylcysteine and coenzyme Q10, can be super helpful. They work behind the scenes to help mitigate that intense oxidative stress happening deep inside your inner ear. Next up, Section 3, things to avoid. Basically, how not to make the situation worse. You really want to avoid extremes on both ends of the spectrum here. First off, avoid stimulants like caffeine, because they can actually prolong the time it takes for the ringing to fade out. And definitely skip the alcohol. Alcohol alters the blood flow to your inner ear in a way that really throws off recovery. In fact, studies show excessive alcohol can literally lessen your hair cells' ability to process low-frequency sounds. But on the flip side, while resting is super important, don't swing too far the other way into overprotection. Constantly wearing earplugs in quiet, normal, everyday environments, that can totally backfire. It feels like you're protecting yourself, but it quietly raises your brain's sensitivity to normal sounds over time. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why. Your ears adjust to sound just like your eyes adjust to light. Think about walking out of a pitch-black movie theater into bright, midday daylight. Everything seems blindingly bright until your eyes adjust, right? Same thing here. If you hide from all normal sounds after a concert by wearing earplugs 24/7, your ears just adjust to the quiet. Then, the second you take them out, normal everyday sounds are going to feel intolerably loud. That feeds into a super uncomfortable condition known as hyperacusis. So again, it is way better to just surround yourself with comfortable, low-level sound instead. Let's pivot to section 4, the power of earplugs. Let's talk proactive prevention. Look, if you know you're heading out to a live music event, earplugs are your best friend. But big caveat here, not all earplugs are created equal when it comes to actually enjoying the music. Traditional foam earplugs, like the ones you see here, are fantastic for industrial settings. They give you a massive noise reduction of around 30 decibels. But because they block out so much sound, and they do it really unevenly, they tend to severely muffle and distort live music. And honestly, that is exactly why so many concertgoers hate wearing them. But this is where high-fidelity or filtered earplugs step in, and they are a total game changer. Seriously, it's an incredible upgrade for live music. Unlike foam plugs that just cut you off from the room, high-fidelity plugs are built with special acoustic filters. They reduce the volume completely evenly across all frequencies. You're generally getting a more modest reduction, usually around 5 to 15 decibels. What that means for you is the music, the heavy bass, and even the people talking next to you still sound perfectly natural and crisp. They're just brought down to a much safer volume that isn't going to fry your inner ear. Finally, section 5, managing persistent tinnitus. Let's focus on calming that alarm. Okay, so what if the ringing becomes chronic? It's completely normal to feel a bit panicked or overwhelmed, but it's absolutely vital to understand this. Reactive tinnitus feeds heavily on your brain's threat circuitry. Your auditory system is physically wired right into your brain's emotional centers. This is exactly why a bad night of sleep, high anxiety, or constantly testing and checking to see if you can still hear the ringing actually cranks the perceived volume way up. To break this vicious cycle, you've got to stop testing the sound. Focus intensely on managing your stress and getting really good sleep. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is also highly recommended here, because while it won't magically erase the physical sound, it gently loosens the grip of fear around it, which indirectly makes the tinnitus fade into the background of your daily life. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how practical it gets about calming that internal alarm system down. Using something like a relaxation log, which is a big part of progressive tinnitus management, helps you actively track techniques. We're talking deep breathing, guided imagery, or just pleasant, distracting activities. By logging your baseline relaxation before and after these short exercises, you are actively retraining your nervous system to stand down. Even just dedicating 5 to 10 minutes a day to structured relaxation tells your body to turn off that fight or flight response, paving the way for your brain to just habituate to the sound over time. At the end of the day, live music is meant to be this incredibly powerful, moving experience, not a trap that leaves you with days of anxiety and ringing ears. By understanding that critical 72-hour recovery window, keeping your ears hydrated and bathed in comfortable background noise, and investing in a solid pair of high-fidelity earplugs, you take all the power back. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you ready to make a small change at your next show, just to make absolutely sure you can still hear your favorite songs perfectly 20 years from now? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay safe out there and happy listening.